Hey all, welcome back to Neon's Movie Reviews. I'm Neon, this is my buddy Nate,
Hello?
and today we're going to be discussing this little known horror comedy called Severance. Um, it's a group of employees at a weapons manufacturing company. They all go out on this team building experience. Um, there's issues getting there, and they're forced to hike it and rely on an old map. And things start going wrong, people start dying, chaos ensues, and it's a slasher comedy. Um, but it's one that I find hilarious. I think it's very well shot. I think just in general it's very well made. The music usage is very well done. The gags are funny on their own, and then also as a slasher, they're really funny with the gags. And I think the payoffs to most of what this film sets up is just great. But yeah, Nate, what do you think?
Uh, I would agree with the vast majority of that. I think that it was fun. I think that it was well paced. There's a couple casting choices in there that I really liked. I was surprised to see, but I really enjoyed. Um, I think that the gags are well done. I think the kills sometimes are more graphically toned than the rest of the movie. A couple of the times I was a little surprised by the graphicness of one particular scene or another. But for the most part, I thought the movie was fun. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it if somebody was looking for a particular style of movie. It wouldn't necessarily be my oh, you have nothing to watch tonight? Here, maybe you should watch Severance. It wouldn't be just a general recommendation, but if somebody said, hey, I want something that's going to be hostile level graphic at times, and at the same time, almost super bad funny
Right.
at other times. Strange mix of what you want this evening, but I have a suggestion for you. And it was, so in general, I think I would, if we're going to, I like to go out of stars, so I think I'd give it, on an entertainment value, I give it 3.5 stars. If I was looking for something scary and horror, it doesn't meet that bill, and it would get graded much lower.
Yeah.
But even if I was just looking for a comedy, I'd give it 3.5.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of about where I'm at with it as well. 3.5 out of 5. But yeah, no, this is just one of these films that I've known about for years. Nobody else I've met has known about this thing.
You told me about it yesterday. I watched it last night.
Right. And yeah, it's like the director, he's made a few things, but not much that's known. And so it's just one of these movies that I try to get as many people to see as possible. Um, but yeah, highly recommend it on my end. But that's pretty much. Do you have anything else you want to bring up really quick before we go into spoilers?
Nope.
Okay. So if you have not seen this movie, or if you don't care about spoilers, we're going full deep into into what this movie is. So kind of going off of what you were talking about. Let's talk about the gore.
The gore is real. It is serious. It like I said, hostile level. And when I say hostile level, I'm talking the Achilles tendon slashes, the blowtorch to the eye. Not just the fun stuff earlier on in that movie.
Yeah.
There were a couple points where, because like I said, Neon told me about this yesterday, so I went home and watched it last night. I was eating as I was watching it, so there were a couple points where I was just like, man, I wish I'd have known that was about to happen.
Yeah,
I knew there was a kill about to happen. I wish I would have known that was how that was going to play out. I would have chosen something other than lo mein to eat last night.
My favorite one isn't even the kill; it's the bear trap. And
Oh my goodness!
yeah, because all right, so this one character, he's just the nicest guy. He just means so well. Everybody just treats him like shit because he's just such a nice pushover.
He's that yes man in the office that everything you say is just funny. That's funny. That's great. Like he's that guy.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, but he's that guy.
And this poor guy, he steps on a bear trap, and like
they're playing paintball. They've been playing paintball in the woods.
Just an innocuous scene.
This team building exercise, right? And when they're done and they're talking, this guy happens to step backwards and steps straight into a bear trap.
Mm-hmm. And
at just below the knee.
Yes.
It hits him just below the knee.
Right below the knee. And so I think one of the guys goes off to try to find help, and the others are trying. The other two are trying to open it.
And it keeps snapping back shut on his leg repeatedly.
They almost get it, they let go, and it's just so brutal. The dude's crying his eyes out, but it's darkly hilarious at the same time.
And then eventually it cuts through his leg, and you see him fall over.
Yeah, they just decapitate his leg. This poor guy. So
they have to throw the stump in a refrigerator. It totally wouldn't have worked. That guy was totally going to lose his leg no matter what.
And then the payoff is they save him, though. They get him back. They wrap up the wound. They stop the bleeding. And they put him in the back room to just kind of rest. And they go off, and you still see him in the background. And the two characters, they're in the foreground. And they start getting high, they're smoking a joint, and then you see one of the masked killers enter the room behind them. You see him, like, waking up, like,
well, there was a spoiler right there, one of the masked
one
killers.
of the masked killers. And, yeah, he's reaching out for help, and they're just continuing to blaze, getting high, and Killer looks at him, looks over at them, grabs him, drags him away. They look back and are just like, oh shit, where did he go? And that's how his character is gone. And I find it fucking hilarious. The other one that I find fucking hilarious.
It reminded me of the sad death of Adam Goldberg in Saving Private Ryan. Like, he's right there. He's right there. Spoiler?
No. Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah. I was like, should I have not said that? Is there somebody out there that hasn't seen Saving Private Ryan at this point?
No.
But yeah, he's shoving the knife into him, and the putts of the, journalist downstairs who could have saved his life the whole time. And I felt like it was this, like a comedic version of the same scene. Like, okay, I'm supposed to think that what's going on in the foreground is funny. So at least you're tempering it a little bit, unlike Spielberg. Like Spielberg, I'm seeing people getting killed outside. I'm seeing Adam Goldberg being stabbed inside. So there was no reprieve there, but so at least they give you kind of something funny in the foreground. But no, turn around.
See, I find the fact that he just gets dragged off equally hilarious. The fact that they never even notice. Like they go through all that. He goes through all that. Just to be taken away. but yeah, so spoilers, basically they're riding on this bus down there, and the driver he doesn't want to go any further.
There's a tree across the road.
Yes, there's a tree across the road.
There's a detour, and he's speaking to them in a language they don't understand, saying, that's dangerous, we don't go through there.
Right.
And they're like, fuck you, we paid you, you gotta go through there. They don't understand each other, and the bus driver just kicks them all off, starts pulling all their stuff out of the bus, and it's just like, alright, I'm leaving you here, peace out.
Yep.
But we do see the bus driver again later in the movie.
Oh yes, that's great. But you have like the lead manager, or the main manager who's leading this excursion. All they have is this old
British guy.
Yeah, pompous British guy. He's been in countless things. I'm just blanking on them. I'm pretty sure he was in a Black Mirror. But he basically it's this old map that they're using. There's no scale on it, and like his aide is just like, there's no scale on this. He's just like, well, an inch usually means a mile on a map.
Which I thought was funny because he's British, but he said a mile.
Yes.
I was like,
Which
okay, I
even more down into it all.
Yeah, right. I'm going to understand, like, shouldn't he have said kilometer? You know, like, it seemed out of place, but I mean, like, basically everybody else on the team, there was one other British guy. Everybody else had an American accent.
Right.
And the main boss, who as they're on the bus in the beginning, you see one of those, you know, like, stereotypical, oh, this is our company, and this is how wonderful we're doing, you know, video up on the, and that's hilarious. I loved all of that.
The one girl was like, they're all blonde. You just did an ad for the Hitler Youth Nation.
Yeah, she's like, the Hitler Youth. He's like, no. And the black scientist walks by. He's like, see, we got a black guy. And then he pulls out a gun. Somebody else is like, oh, you know, like the one time you show the black guy in there, he's shooting at something.
That's hilarious.
But so you got a couple of British guys in there, but yeah, when he said 1 mile, I thought that was funny. But yeah, so there's no scale on the map.
Yeah. And they're just looking for this lodge, and they find this place. It's this old, decrepit place, and they're just like, "Oh, this must be it." Cause
it's supposed to be a luxury lodge that their company had just bought.
It looks like some
in Eastern Europe. Who buys a luxury lodge in Eastern Europe?
I don't know. It's a great setting for the story, though.
Hostel. I just think Eastern Europe now. That's the land of hostel. I'll never go there. Prague may be beautiful. I'll never know.
But yeah, they go there. It's completely the wrong place. They're finding some of the team members are finding old like mental institution files and stuff like that on
all written in Russian.
Yes, and it's this place just off the beaten path, like some secret installation on the mentally insane, and they were just doing experiments on them, and then they got loose.
I always wonder. Because it's a trope that shows up in lots of, you know, it's the mental institution. Okay, I got that. It's an insane asylum. Okay, I got that. But how incompetent were the people when they left this? They always leave files behind. Like,
right.
If you were doing such shady shit here, don't you think that, well, even in embassies, they have a shredder and an incinerator that if you're going down, everything goes into the burn box.
For this one, I got the impression, that it wasn't planned. Like, I got the impression that the patients got loose, took over the installation.
Well, it was depending on which of the stories you...
Right.
Because they tell several kind of ghost stories about what happened, and one of them was very nice and pornographic. You know, like, no, this is what happened. This is a land of hot chicks. This one guy showed, you know. And that character is hilarious because on their way out to this
first thing you see
meeting,
him doing.
the first thing you see him doing, well, I guess not the first thing, but within the first couple of minutes that you see him on screen, he's eating shrooms. Mm-hmm. And you're like,
and before
you're
that,
going out on a work retreat, and you decided that that's how you wanted to go.
Well, he's eating shrooms. Before that, he's introduced by booking 2 hookers to meet up with them.
Escorts.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
I'm sorry. And then like immediately after that, he takes a joint and goes into the bus's bathroom and smokes it up.
Yeah.
Sets off the fire alarm.
And then he's eating shrooms because, you know, I can't think of any better way to spend a shroom buzz than to just be hanging out with a bunch of coworkers on a company retreat.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
hiking through.
I mean, if that's the kind of buzz that you want, I don't think that you're gonna be like, hey, you know what? The best place to do this would be on this company retreat. You know, like, you have this huge bag of shrooms. Look, I did crazy things in my 20s. If I would have had that back in my 20s, eating it on a company trip would not have. I would have been like,
with your boss, well, this is
right
there.
Right. Well, great. And I worked in the restaurant industry at that point, you know, like, my boss probably would have eaten them with me, but not on a company retreat. This just doesn't sound fun. I don't want to be out and...
Not with the rest of your coworkers, at least.
Right. I mean, I guess if everybody's sharing them, fine, that's one thing, but that's a totally different movie called Shrooms to review.
That's not a very good horror movie.
If you're looking for a horror movie, it's on the same level as Severance.
Yeah, but I don't think the comedy
it doesn't come with the humor.
No, it tries, but it fails.
It doesn't come with the humor. Then let's see. So they leave the bus.
They find the the place. They start finding hints as to
Well,
what's
the
going
shroom
on.
guy thinks he sees somebody in the woods at first.
Right. But then
And
he
he's
starts
standing
seeing
there.
himself.
He's standing there. He's standing there. They realize that he's walked off the beaten path, and they've already kind of shown you some of those like
the creepy shots.
the creepy shots. Like you can tell somebody's watching them.
Yeah, that POV shots.
Right, and it seems like he may have wandered off the path, or he may have been pulled. You're not quite sure.
Right.
And then they're like, "Oh, where'd he go?" And then.
You hear him yell.
I don't remember her name. I'm sorry, it's horrible disservice to her, but the really cute blonde girl from the faculty.
Oh yes.
She
I don't know anyone of these names.
She's the one that turns around and she's like, "Where did he go?" She goes off to find him, and when she finds him, here he is, like a 3-year-old, like pants around his ankles, standing in front of a tree peeing.
Just confused out of his mind.
Which funny enough. I don't care. Hopefully this won't get my annual pass revoked if anyone from Disney ever watched that. But I did think it was really funny that probably about 8 months ago I decided to do that one day at Epcot, and I was just like, I'm just pulling down to my ankles and stand there with my hands on my hips when I pee, and see what happens. Nobody said anything to me. I wondered. I kind of wonder if maybe they didn't know, he might not be out there, Like,
you don't want to say anything.
Right, that's not nice. You can't say anything, Or they just thought I was drunk because it was Epcot, Because fair enough, it really could have been either at Epcot. But so he's just standing there.
May have been from a different country. He's just been that's the custom there.
But so the guy's standing there in the woods and he says, "No, I saw somebody." And the girl quickly reminds me, no, shrooms. and so, at least for the characters of the movie, now you can do away with the one guy saw him and nobody believes him. Oh, well, nobody believes him because he ate a bunch of shrooms.
Right.
So at least that made sense.
I like that, and they also went even further to make you doubt him when they're all in the cabin, and he gets up from where he's sitting, walks over to the entranceway, and then he looks back and he still sees himself sitting there.
Yes.
And they're locking eyes, and they're just like
he sees himself sitting there. Let's talk about dinner. The pie.
Yes.
So the very nice British, he's not British, but the very nice office guy who ends up in the horrible bear trap, he's like, "Hey guys, I made us dinner. Check this out. I made a meat pie," and they're like, "Oh, this is great." They're all cutting it up and they're all eating it, and then what do they find?
I honestly, I remember the scene.
Tooth. They find a tooth, a human tooth, in the pie. And then that's when they're like, "Well, what did you put in this pie?" He's like, "I didn't make the pie." Like, where did you get the pie? He's like, "Well, it was already made. It was just sitting there. I cooked it for the hour." What do you mean you cooked it for an hour? He's like, "Oh, that's the recipe for a pie. You cook it for an hour." And the one guy's like, "Not every pie cooked for an hour." Like that was, and then the not boss British guy, but the cocky office British guy. He's like, "Well, that makes a lot of sense. Like that makes me feel better about it. Like they have no idea what they just ate.
Right.
All I know is it ended up having a human tooth in it. That would greatly upset me. Yes. I was a chef for many years. I have put things in my mouth to eat them, to try them, that would make some people dry heave. I'm not quite Andrew Zimmern,
right?
But I've eaten some pretty crazy things. If I found a human tooth and something I was eating, I would immediately vomit.
Yeah.
Everyone there had a much stronger constitution than myself.
Yeah. I definitely would not continue eating the pie.
Even the PC office girl with the glasses.
Yes. She's hilarious.
She was the one that pointed out the Hitler Youth.
Well, and she's, if I'm remembering right, she's the one that's also in the discussion about the guillotine, right?
She is in the right. So her and the British guy, they're in a discussion about the guillotine because she has some moral issues. She works for a defense
right.
company, a company that is a weapons manufacturer, but she has moral ambiguity about what they do, and she's discussing that with the British guy. She's like, well, at least, like, we make anti-personnel mines. Like, that's disgusting. That's a scourge of the earth. Like, at least the guillotine was humane. And he was like,
no,
there's nothing humane about the guillotine. And educates her that the head lives long enough and is conscious and can't scream. You're not connected to your lungs. But the head lives long enough to watch itself roll down and maybe even look back at your body. And so, and he paints that picture to her about Marie Antoinette. He's like, so Marie Antoinette watched her head and she saw her bloody stump squirting blood everywhere. And there's a payoff to that later. Not the one that I wanted.
Yeah, I still enjoy it, but yeah, so they get into a car crash. He gets decapitated, and as you see his
by one of the masked,
yes.
One of the, like there's
one
probably
the
what 8 to 10 of these guys.
I think even more. Because there's that part where you see them all running through the field. I feel like there's more than 10.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get an exact, and there's a couple of scenes where there's a lot of machine gun fire.
True.
But I kind of thought it was in the maybe pushing 12 range. I didn't think it was a ton of guys. I mean, that lodge they were living in wasn't massive.
True.
But, yeah, so they get into a car accident, and he was walking around, one of these masked guys takes his head off, and in one lop. It's always right. One lop. Like, I don't want to be graphic, but anybody who has ever seen what a machete will do to a neck, you're not getting through a human head in one lop.
Yeah, but what unless you're doing the bear trap, it's hard to do a decapitation and make it funny unless it's like really dull and you can't even like cut through. Like it's hard to make that humorous.
Yeah, because it's again, it's not. I'm sorry to be graphic, but it's not very humorous in those ISIS videos when they're decapitating people, and that machete is not very sharp, and it's there was a reason why back in the day, it's funny, like in the popular culture, we always get this idea that the headsman was like the miscreant of the village, when actually they usually lived outside the village, just because for what they did. Then they were kind of feared and not really welcome with the rest of the community.
Right.
But they were also usually your town butcher. They knew about human anatomy, and they were paid and revered based on their ability to not cause harm to the people.
Right. I knew about that.
They're not there to cause a torture scene. The torturer was not the headsman. The headsman was there. This is it. You're done.
Mm-hmm. It's painless for you as it is for everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just here to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to end. You've been condemned to death. My job is to do that as quickly and as painlessly as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm your friend here.
Right.
Like, you don't want the guy with the shitty axe.
No. And you don't want the hangman.
Right. You don't want the low bidder on this job. You want the guy who's showing up with a 30-pound axe and arms that look like tree trunks.
Mm-hmm.
But so he ends up getting his head cut off. It rolls over.
And
he sees his body.
Yep. And he just. That's the expression you
right. I kind of wanted it to be the girl that he had talked to.
Right.
Because I thought that would be a better payoff. In general, the escorts end up being a big part of the rescue mission,
yep.
A big part of the payoff.
There's a rocket launcher involved, and
the downing of an airplane.
Yes.
Somebody shoots a rocket, it goes straight up into the air, takes down a passenger plane.
Yep.
I thought that was probably not the best use of money for a CGI, that they could have just fired the rocket, had to hit anything, and I was like, that's what you spent your money on? But
yeah,
still funny.
To me, that was one of the best gags in the movie.
It's strange that I'm saying, oh, it's so funny, you shot a rocket, took down a passenger plane. In real life, obviously, I do not think that's funny. It's a funny gag in a movie, but...
Right, yeah.
Well, that didn't work out quite the way I wanted it to.
It's a dark comedy.
It is a very dark comedy. But the escorts end up being a big part of the rescue at the end, and so at the end we end up with the 2 escorts that he had called for.
You got the owner of the company who's the one who's rocking the rocket launcher.
Right. But he ends up in a snare upside down, and he gets gutted.
Right.
The hookers fall in
The escorts.
fall into a large enclosure. Stereotypical. Let's take off our clothes to make a rope with a stick, and we'll throw it out.
It's not working.
It's not working for them, and then. And that's actually shown at the beginning of the movie.
It opens up with them and the boss getting snared and gutted.
Right. And then before you see anything else in the movie.
Yeah.
But then when we cut back to it at the end, you see the escorts run off.
Right.
They're in the actual lodge where they were supposed to be. And it's at this point the stoner and the actress from Faculty. I really feel bad not knowing this woman.
I don't remember any of the cast's names.
I don't know. I feel more. I feel it's more offensive because it's a woman. like, dang, you should know her name. You think she's hot? You should at least know her name. Don't objectify her and at least not know her name. We have the stoner, we have her, we have the two and then they run into the lodge. It's the two escorts and the main boss. He's like, oh, these guys are terrorists? Where are they at? They're outside.
Right.
He's the one that shoots the rocket launcher, goes at them, and then straight up into the air, takes out a passenger plane.
And they give you that pause there. You just see it go, like, it's heading right for all the enemies, and then it just shoots straight up in the air.
Well,
and it doesn't follow it. It just, like, lingers for a moment, and they're all like, what? And then you see a plane flying, and you see it slowly coming. And
I actually thought that was going to be part of the weapon at first, because I was like, all right, so it went, and it's going to go up, and now it's going to explode, and it's going to be like this rain of poisonous darts down on the ground.
No, a rain of plane parts.
Yeah, which actually, now that I think about it, I'm kind of mad that doesn't pay off later. Like, how come nobody's running through the woods and just like, smash airplane engine, and that's how they get taken out.
And they're pretty much ended right there.
And they're about 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
So everybody runs off, but the stoner, he ends up in a brawl, takes care of himself, and he's sitting up against a tree, and here comes a stick. Or you just hear thud. And he looks down and here's this stick with clothes attached to it. And it's pulling itself in, and then it comes back out. And finally he goes over and he looks in, and
it's the two escorts.
Hey, it's my escorts. What's up? All right, here we go. You know, one of them's completely topless. And then we're following, you know what, if I'm going to be offensive. So we're following Blondie. And Blondie runs into this abandoned Soviet military outpost or something. And she finds a phone. And she picks it up. It's got a working dial tone. English, you know, somebody, English, okay, hold on. Put her on hold. Got on hold music. And here comes the guy, you know, our last big bad.
Right.
Flamethrower.
Oh, yeah.
The flamethrower in hand. And I kept waiting for the bad flamethrower gag. Like, okay, somebody's gonna shoot the flamethrower. It's gonna explode.
Nope.
I was glad they didn't go with that gag, but instead, he works Blondie over, and he's literally about to kill her. You know, the big bad's always gonna have to pause before they haven't paused before they killed any. Well, I guess these guys did because they liked playing with their food.
Right, they relished in it.
Right. But
we still have the guy with the mine.
Yes.
Was great.
And so right before he comes in for the kill, you get the sound of machine gun fire, and you look over, and she's not topless anymore, but it's the one that ended up completely topless escort. She's got a jacket on, just rocking a submachine gun. She empties the entire magazine. She empties like half of it, stops, looks, empties the other half into it. And you know,
happy ending.
And that's our happy ending. It's a comedy slasher with a happy ending at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And to make the ending even happier is as they're leaving at the end, the stoner who somebody else has suggested Blondie likes earlier in the movie. She's like a guy that liked her is like, well, I actually think she likes you.
Forgot it. Yeah.
So. Right, so he looks over at Blondie at the end. The last words of the entire movie, he looks over, and because it's her and, you know, him and the two escorts, and he goes, foursome? And she just kind of has a blank look on her face for a second, and then she gets a smile, and there's no nod, there's no admission, but I think Homeboy's about to I mean, his face is all beat up. They've been through some shit, but I mean, like, that would make for some powerful adrenaline sex. Like, I definitely think that he ended up having a foursome that night, and you know what? I mean, the escorts weren't bad looking.
Yeah.
So I definitely call it a double happy ending.
Yeah.
Triple.
Multiple meetings.
Multiple happy ending.
One of my other favorite gags is super early on, but when they stop at the or when they first start going on their walk, like one of the guys is just like, I'm not going fucking out there, like there's bears and stuff, and he's just like, oh no, we're here, there's no bears, so they're over here, and then like you hear this roar, and he's just like, what the fuck was that then? And so they end up convincing, and like right before they get to the place that they mistake for the place they're looking for, the lodge. You see
a bear cross.
Yeah, you see a bear cross the road behind them, and it's just like, oh god, yes, this is gonna be great.
I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, yeah, highly recommend it. That's gonna be about probably a wrap for this one. Yeah, highly recommend it. Not really sure where it's streaming, if it's streaming, but it's worth a buy. It's pretty cheap.
It's definitely worth a $3.99 rent.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's only a $3.99 rent, I wouldn't feel gypped.
Yeah, no, that's a great price for it. I think I bought it for like $4, so it's around the same price to buy. But it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's gonna be, about do it for here. Gonna be posting some other videos. We're also gonna be discussing the movie Mother. It's one that I really enjoyed.
Immediately after filming this.
Yes, we're gonna be immediately filming that after this, but it's gonna be posted on Sunday. Yes, Mother's Day. It's a perfect movie to talk about for Mother's Day. But yeah, that's gonna about wrap it. Yeah. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and yeah, stay safe all.